All right, we'll go ahead and we're going to get started here. It's fine. First off, thank you for coming out here tonight. It's always exciting, always a little bit nerve-wracking getting the season underway. I know we went through the fall season, but as I'm sure these guys are going to cover here tonight, really the winter's when it begins. You know, there's guys that play multiple sports that are out doing their fall thing. Some guys may have just needed a break after the summer. You know, so I think we're really running at maybe a third or a quarter capacity when the fall hits. But once the winter rolls out, even if guys are playing other sports, they slowly start getting back into it. You know, guys that are playing a winter sport will come to practices on Sundays when the high school is off. And really that's kind of the heart and soul, the heartbeat of the entire program. So for those that don't know me, my name is Nelson Gord. I started the Indians now 12 years ago. Actually, our first program meeting was 12 years ago, December 1st, coming up here shortly at the old facility, which was down Rand Road in Des Plaines. So anybody ever been over by Pesci's Flowers or Jimmy's, a little restaurant over there? Right across the street, there's a little electric shop, and that's where play ball started back in 2002. And then in 2012, we actually moved into this building. So I introduced myself, some other key people that I'm sure that you've communicated a lot more with already. Mike Puglisi, back there hiding in the back row. Only two rows, so I guess not the back, the second row. Bryce Skelton, both Pug and Bryce, they run all the day-to-day, okay? And you'll see a theme when we go into our player development personnel here in a minute. One of the main themes is that guys that played the program tend to come back. Okay, and going back to 12 years ago again, I actually just met Pug. He was a high school sophomore, and I had the opportunity to coach him his sophomore, junior, senior year of high school in travel ball, and we developed a really good relationship there. He came back those following summers and played for one of the college teams, and then when he graduated and finished up at Carthage, you know, came on as a coach. And now he's here pretty much every day. Bryce Skelton, you know, who many of you have met and are familiar with, he's coaching at Dominican University right now. And Bryce is another guy that used to drive down from Wisconsin to play for the Indians. And that was, what, 2013, 2012? 2010. Date myself even more, 2010. So it's remarkable to see, you know, the path that he's taken from playing a little bit of professional baseball, playing up at Lakeland in Wisconsin, and, you know, following his passion for coaching and spending time with your boys. Some other things on there, and we'll share all of this. Many of you have seen it in emails that have went out, you know, just the general email inbox that goes to, you know, pretty much everyone. The mailing address, which is this building right here. And then all your accounting needs, you know, if there's any questions about what your balances are or what programs you've signed up for, you know, League Apps is the way to go. We started that last year, and I think it's really been a game changer as far as us as an organization, you know, understanding what people are doing, you know, and then you having the ability to kind of control your own path and see what's going on there. Player development staff, really kind of small up there. Got to use bigger font. But player development staff, like I said, the winter is the heartbeat of this program. These are the gentlemen that will be working with your sons throughout the winter. You know, Mike and Bryce, who I just introduced. Matt May, who is not here, but is the owner of Play Ball, or one of the owners of Play Ball. He does a lot of the programming. Ryan Johansson, you want to stand up and say hello? I know you'll get your piece here in a minute. Nate Pearson, Chris Michaels, many of you are familiar with, does a lot of the pitching programming. He's here at Play Ball full time. Jordan Bach, Adam O'Malley is here. Ryan Tutland, who coaches at Oakton, also played at West Virginia, played in the Giants organization. Jack Sawinski, who's another Indians player. Drew Thomas and Tyler Pasick, who we'll see a video of here in a little bit. So a little bit more about the program history. That's really tiny by design. Okay, again, we can share this. Actually, if you guys do have your phones, this might be your browser and you type in ITBC as in Illinois Travel Baseball Club.info, you can follow along. You can look at it in your phone. So I'll give you guys a second if you want to do that, because that's a huge screen and really, really small things on it. So it's itbc.info, and all these slides will come up. Yeah, so just running through a little bit more about the program history. Like I said, we started December 1st, 2007. The first season, that was not me. The first season was the 2008 season. We had 11, 12, and 13 U team. You fast forward, the following season is when we started our high school program. Okay, so that was a big transition for us. Originally, we were just really focused on the youth group, and now it's pretty interesting that we don't do youth teams as Indians. You know, those are the Dodgers. 2012, like I said, we moved to Mount Prospect here to this building from Des Plaines. 2017, we expanded operations, and what I mean by that is that we stopped just doing stuff in this building. So we used a facility out in St. Charles. We were using a facility in the city. We did some other programming outside of our home base. And then currently, you know, there's 14 rosters of Indians players that will be playing next summer. And on top of that, there's 8 Illinois Dodgers youth program teams that will be playing. And the 2 little pictures, the pictures there, you know, that are really hard to see again. You know, I was thinking about it, and one of the themes that you'll see here tonight too is the use of technology, right? You know, the email went out about using Blast. We talked about league apps a minute ago. We do video analysis. We do all these different things with technology, but that's really been one of the keys to our program growth. Our first tryout, that little small handwritten scribble thing right there, were the 20 players that registered on site for our 12U tryout in 2007. You know, we literally just had them write their name in a little spreadsheet. And a newspaper clipping that I think was like in the Pioneer Press or something like that, saying, hey, we're gonna have, you know, tryouts coming up here soon. Then you fast forward to today, you know, we had nearly 100 players try out for the 15U team alone, the 15U group, and that was all done digitally. So every morning we'd wake up and see, okay, what players registered now? You know, do our homework. I know these guys right here were, as players were registering, always looking online, trying to find out more information, learning about it. Okay, and that's something we didn't have the capacity to do or the capability to do when this program first started. So why play for the Indians? I challenged these guys with that question over the summer, and they threw out a bunch of things. You know, we're good. We work well with the kids. You know, a lot of really general things that you could say, but, you know, I said there's a lot of programs that do that. And I think when we first started, we were just another program. We love coaching. We love working with kids. We understood baseball a little bit, and we wanted to make something of that. That's the easy part. Okay, there are programs that start up every day. There are things out there that you can go and learn how to play baseball. Somebody could teach you how to throw, how to catch, how to hit. Okay, everybody might not agree with their methodology. Okay, but that's everywhere. Okay, and as I was talking through this with these guys, what I came to realize is that we've evolved in a number of different ways. We were reading through old emails in one of our staff meetings, and there was one from Perfect Game from like 2011 or 2012, and it's like, congrats, you've been invited, you know, to Fort Myers to play in the WWBA Underclass Championship. Okay, now we just like assume that. That's just part of our program. And I remember opening that email and feeling so proud that we were able to give this opportunity to our players. And again, now it's just assumed, okay, because of the guys that have come before, because of the players that have come through this program, because of the relationships that have been forged. That's the way the game works. Okay, so you guys should feel fortunate that those guys who came before, you know, were able to do that. So, you know, those things are assumed. But that's where our program went next, right? The opportunities or the experiences, right? Going to different places around the country, going to Arizona. We'll talk about our winter trips here in a little bit. Those are things that we get excited about, things that I feel like we're a big part of this program, or maybe even the biggest part for a while. Okay, then a couple years later, you know, it says up there in 2017, you know, we started focusing a lot more on the value that we can provide. Okay, this is a baseball organization. How many of you need a baseball glove? Or a baseball bat? How many need spikes? How many want to train? Everyone here, right? So we started really looking at our program and saying, okay, how can we give them what they need, the best of what they need, okay, while at the same time keeping the price as low as possible. And believe me, I understand. I have a 10-year-old daughter in dance, a 7-year-old daughter in gymnastics. For me, saying as little as possible, it's still a big number. Okay, it's something me and my wife talk about all the time. It's a lot, okay, but we understand that there is a value, okay, that is not always tied to the exact cost, right? You could spend a lot of money on something, but the value might not be there. Okay, so we want to give the best or offer the best, okay, at the lowest price that could be offered at. And then current day, you know, where we're at, you know, my focus the past couple years and moving forward is really about something bigger. And we'll talk about that as this presentation goes through, but it's about the culture that we've created, the culture that they've cultivated, okay, and the network that continues to grow. Okay, it's amazing to have guys come back and, you know, work and coach and be a part of this. It's even cooler when you connect one alumni with another alumni and they make that happen, right? It's really cool when a parent of a former player hires one of our former players to work in their business. Okay, those are the cool things, and those are things that, you know, we're trying to facilitate and make happen more often. You know, it happens at the college level, it happens at the high school level. We have more players in this room than, you know, a college will have in 3 or 4 years. Okay, maybe 5 years. Okay, so we have a greater responsibility and a greater opportunity to do exactly that. So, everybody with me so far? I know we haven't talked anything really about baseball yet, but now we will. So, we're going to talk about the winter program, and Pug is going to have.
How we doing? There's extra seats up here if you guys want to sit. Anybody? Perfect. Awesome. So like Nelson said, my name is Mike Pugliese, and I've been with the program for 7 years now. 6 years is my 7th season, which is pretty crazy to say. The reason that I do this, it's pretty simple. Developing relationships with your son. Okay, I've been coaching. I've been all about training and all of that, but what matters most to me is your son and developing a connection, understanding what makes him tick. Okay, so that's the reason that we love the winter program that I'm about to talk about. Okay, we love getting to know your sons, evaluating their skills, but really understanding who they are. Okay, because we're all about player development, and that's not just baseball. Okay, I had a conversation with the family the other day. What we want to see in player development is pretty simple. We want to see you get good grades. We want to see you hanging out with your friends at school. We want to see you have a life, enjoy high school. And then when you come to us and you spend that time, you learn that time management to get the baseball in, that's when you're well-rounded. Okay, that well-rounded is what moves on in the game. Okay, so this winter, keep that in mind, right? We want balance. We want everybody to get all the training possible, but we want you guys to have a life. We want you to develop that way. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about here, we go. Winter practice. Okay, so this is what everybody gets. Okay, we're going to be doing this once a weekend out at Johansson. We're going to do it here. We're going to have one in Chicago too. Okay, the reason I put this slide up, it's kind of blurry, but those little blue stars, that's where everybody lives. Okay, we're all about opportunity and making a way, finding a way for you guys to have a facility to work at. Okay, so you guys are going to have a choice, and I wanted to say that as well. You're going to have a choice of where you're going to train. Okay, and I promise you nothing's better over there than it is here, vice versa. Okay, make your decision by where you live. Make it easy for yourself to get to that facility. Okay, the systems that we're going to have in place this off season is where our coaching staff, the entire staff, where we're all working together, and Blast and Rapsodo and some other things we're going to talk about, that's going to help us do it. Next slide here. We're going to talk about the structure of it. Okay, this is a common question. Okay, we know we get team practice, but what do we do? Okay, so within those 14 weeks, 17-week period, we're going to have 14 weeks on, 3 weeks off. Okay, so Thanksgiving, break. Okay, I do want to mention January 4th and 5th. In the past couple of years, we haven't had that week off. It's been the week before that. But we're all going to a coaches convention, ABCA. It's the biggest coaches convention in the nation. Over 6,000 people go, and we go every year, which always makes it a scheduling nightmare when we're here. Okay, so that week will be off. And then within those 14 weeks that we're practicing, we're going to test 3 of the weeks, have it structured out. The metrics up there, I know it's kind of small, but we're gonna run, we're gonna throw. Okay, pitchers, we'll get that when it's time to do that in January, February. Okay, and we're gonna track it. We're gonna make sure that your son is getting better from that first week all the way through. Okay, so there's a lot of things that go on outside of practice that are gonna help you do that. This is gonna allow us to hold everybody accountable, hold ourselves accountable. Okay, so the other add to that is our YouTube channel. Okay, this is something that we're extremely proud of. We have player playlists for everybody. Every single player has their own playlist, and we upload video to it. Okay, so if you ever need video of your son, we're going to have it on there, and if we don't, we'll get it on there. Okay, so it's crucial to be there for those 14 weeks, but especially those 3. Okay, also with the NCSA recruiting profile, so everything that's going on out there with the recruiting stuff, you need your metrics. Coach asks us, we need to have it. You need to have it. Okay. Practice versus training. This is another important thing to understand. They're different. Okay, practice, we like to say repetition focus. I know it's not very clear to most. Okay, and then training is all about skill acquisition. Trying to learn a skill. We're going to instruct in a small group. Okay, we're going to build a skill. We're going to get stronger, faster. And then the practice is when we're practicing those skills. Rep, 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 rep. So we'll put together structured drills to make that happen. But they are different. And we'll talk about training here in a second. Okay, so the typical practice is going to hit on everything. It'll be hitting. It'll be throwing for the first 6 weeks. Then it'll go into pitching, and then we're also going to do some defense stuff. Okay, here we don't have much. We have space. It's not crazy, but we have space. We're going to hit some ground balls, but mostly we're going to focus on the routines, the glove work, footwork. And the beautiful part about that is you can do that at Johansson or in Chicago as well. Okay, so really dominating the simple stuff is what's going to help us get better as players. And then towards the end, so our January and our February, that mindset of skill progression, structured reps, that's going to change. We're going to go straight into that game prep. So we will do live at-bats. And then when we're doing our reps, we're going to think about a situation in the game that we're ready to play in March when high school starts. Okay? Attendance. This is a big one. We have a lot of winter sport guys, which is great. We love it. 30% last year for winter sport, which means that Saturday mornings are difficult to get to. Okay, if this is you, go on Sunday. You don't need to tell us. Just go on Sunday. Okay. We try to alternate back and forth for that reason, among others, but for that reason. So where guys can practice with their age group when necessary. And it's not just your stuff with a different age group. It's you mixing in with the older guys and then your age group. Older guys, your age group. Is that clear? Training opportunities. There was a long email sent out last week about this. Everybody has different options for what you want to do. You can do as little or as much as you'd like. And like I said earlier, player development is the goal. We understand there's balance involved, but we want to work with your sons. Okay, so if you need help figuring out what you want to do on this list of things here, please let us know. Get in contact with us this week. Okay, skill session wise, there's a couple links there that'll kind of show you what we do. The first link is going to be to a video of a typical infield session. There's also catching ones listed. And then the example of the schedule, that's just going to show you how it's structured out. And this year is a little bit different with it. We're going to have 4, 3, 1 coach, and that's your coach, all off season. The guys that have been around, you know, when we get our hitting sessions over here, it's usually 12 guys with 4 coaches, but it's one group all working together. Okay, this year it's going to be separated. Separated groups, 4 guys, 1 coach only has to worry about his 4 guys. So that's 1 voice. Okay, we're excited about that. And we're going to do that with infield. We're going to do it with pitching, catching, everything, as much as possible. Okay, power hitters, the big difference with that is it's longer. It's more time intensive. 45 minutes of hitting is going to be very similar to what we do here. And then that extra 45 minutes is a workout. And so we'll be able to get strong. We'll be able to learn how to use our bodies a little bit better. And the cool thing about power hitters and Play Ball USA programs is that our entire Indian staff is also a part of that. We're also instructors here. We all work together. Okay, so if that is a determining factor, please know that we're all together. Aces Academy, that's our pitching program. We got Chris Michaels right here. He's going to run you guys through it.
So as Mike said, I'm Chris Michaels. I'm the director of pitching here at Play Ball. I've been working with the Indians for about 4 years. The Ace Academy has been running for 2 years. This is going on the 3rd year of it. So basically, I don't know, there's some familiar faces that have done the program already, but like Mike was talking about, we're not practicing pitching, we're training pitchers. Okay, so it's not a come in, we're going to throw a bunch of bullpens from November to February. We train, and we train hard the entire time. Every player that does this program will get 2-month workout plans, a full strength program from November all the way to the end of December. And then from there, once we get into throwing in January and February, we're going to implement the kind of in-season throwing workout plan. And we're going to be using Rhapsody through the entire process. So when we use Rhapsody, what this is it's a pitch tracking system software that will track spin rate, spin axis, how your ball moves, how fast you throw, where the ball goes, when it breaks, how long your pitches stay at the same level. So if you guys have been watching the World Series, you've seen how Garrett Cole, his pitches work. Then they disappear maybe 20, 25 feet from home plate. That's called pitch tunneling. So through that, we use Rhapsody just to basically train our pitchers to get their pitches to look similar, spin faster, break harder, break later. Throughout the entire program, it's a medicine ball-based program. So we use it for a lot of strength, which I know a lot of 15, 16, 17-year-olds need. And within the lifting program, it is percentage-based. It takes you all the way through up until your max. So it is basically a 5-day program, 3 days lifting, 2 days in here doing plyo and medicine ball work in here. And starting January is when we start our full throwing program and start tracking all the data for how hard we're throwing, and then designing all your pitches as we go through. Cool.
Okay, to finish off this slide here, strength training. Players, raise your hand if you lift 4 times a week. That's about right. Okay, if we have a goal in this game, baseball, you can't look like me. Okay, I'm dead serious. Okay, hey, I want you guys to keep in mind that we need to build some tools this offseason. And a lot of the tools we can do that we're trying to build, that happens in that weight room. Not necessarily this weight room, but any weight room. We need to get stronger. If we don't throw 90 miles an hour, that better be our goal. If we don't hit the ball 100 miles an hour, that better be our goal. Okay? And we don't have to go take a million swings to do that. The bulk of that work happens in that weight room. Okay? We need to lift. Players, take it seriously. Coach, I almost called him Coach Nelson, but he was my coach. I remember one conversation. There was a couple, but I remember one conversation when I was sophomore, junior in high school. I was in his office at the old Play Ball, and he told me that I need to lift. I was like, yeah, but I'm pretty good already. I don't need to do that. No, you need to lift. and I didn't. And that's one of the things I look back at and say, wow, what if I did? Okay, so let's take control of our bodies. Let's eat right. Let's start to learn how to eat right. And let's lift. Let's get after it. And we have to. I know it's a little bit weird getting in there, not being confident, not lifting a lot of weight, but that's what everybody goes through. It happens. We have an option here, but I'm sure your high school coaches have options at your high school. Do it. Okay? Do it all over the place, wherever you can. We need to lift. Okay? Facility membership. We have this beautiful facility. It's awesome. And all of our players, you guys can come here every single day if you wanted to. We want to see you guys here more. Okay, so all you have to do is call the front desk over here, Heidi Sawinski, Jack's younger brother, her younger sister. She will answer and she'll say, hey, here are your times available. Okay, so come as often as possible. And make sure you stop by the office first, because we're always there. And if you ever need help with the plan or whatever it is, we have it up there. Okay, say hi, say bye. All right, now our training options at Johansson Baseball. Okay, Ryan Johansson, the owner of the facility, great person, great dude, somebody that we look up to, somebody that teaches us a lot. He'll run you guys through what he has going on out there. And we're excited for you guys to hear about it.
So my name's Ryan. Thanks for everybody for coming out. I want to tell a quick story really fast. So when I first kind of got in with the Indians, I was building our mound platform. It was this gigantic mound. If you've ever been to our place, I see some familiar faces. Was there all night. Nate helped me. He finally went home at like 2 a.m. I stayed up till 4 a.m. building these mounds. I had a meeting with Nelson at like 7:30 in the morning out this way. I was exhausted. I was tired. I came out. This is something that I saw some value in, and after meeting with him, I was like, "This is it. This is the program that I think the guys that are around me need to be a part of, and this is something that I want for myself and my staff." Talk about building relationships and things of that nature. And it was a no-brainer. And I left with more energy and 3 hours of sleep after talking with him than I probably had that entire week. So now as we're kind of moving into this off season, kind of tell you about the programs we have. Everything that they've described in terms of all the coaches, being on the same page and working together and having 4-on-1s and or one coach for 4 athletes and things like that. It's the exact same thing here at our place. We structure it very similar. We also have Rapsodo for our pitchers. We have the strength program that goes along with it. Like Mike said, you can't look like him or I if you want to go far in this game. So, we do have that available too. Our hitting program is really what I think we hang our hat on. We've got one of the coolest baseball hitting facilities, I think, just from a technology standpoint. We're really blessed to have some of those things. Our hitting assessment is kind of the first step in that process. So players will go through a biomechanical assessment with Vertec force plates, the 4D motion, so kinematic swing sequencing is essentially how fast your body is turning in the order that it's turning in. So if anyone's ever told you to, hey, do this first, do that first, this kind of measures it and how fast you're doing it, how fast you're turning. We do a movement screen, so we will determine your swing style, right? So everybody's different in the sense that how they swing shouldn't necessarily match the same way that the guy next to you swings. And so we kind of put a profile to that based on the way your body moves in the movement screen. We have a couple different things to kind of do that. Our advanced membership is going to be a membership that includes all 3 of these things. All the Indians players, get a discount for being part of that. I think that was a price that went out that you sent out, Mike. So the price point there. Do you remember what that equaled? Do you remember that equated to? 375. So it's around 375, 380 for kind of everything. So what that includes, that's up to 4 days per week that players can come in. They're able to get their custom strength program based on our movement screen and our strength screen. They get a custom hitting program based on the biomechanical assessment if they choose to do that. And then they also get a custom throwing program by Jordan Bach, who was mentioned earlier, also one of the Indians coaches who works out of our facility in the pitching center. If you wanted to do just one of those things, if you're a pitcher only and only want to do our throwing program, that option is available. If you just want to lift and that's how you want to spend your time, it's not a bad option at all. You can do that. If you just want to do the hitting program, you can do that. If you plan on training at the other two facilities and you wanted a little bit additional information or things that you can bring back to your coaches for us all to kind of communicate, you can also do a biomechanical assessment. You can send that to your coach, or you can give it to your high school coach. You can give it to anybody else that you want. So it's kind of an accountability thing. If this is where you are, it also kind of gives our opinion on how things should kind of move forward for your programming. Good. Anything else? Oh, yes. I'm sorry. So we have, part of your fees include some kind of membership through either Play Ball or the other facilities. Our availability, just to be totally honest with you, is very, very limited, but you guys do have that option. The best way to do that is just call ahead, and for the high school guys, right for school, we usually have some extra time. Just give us a call or shoot an email, and we will try to get you in if you guys want to come get some extra work in just on the facility. Cool. All right, so I know you guys all just got a blast sensor. Maybe some of you guys have used it before, and some of you guys have not. I was just going to talk briefly about it. The blast sensor is a little rubber thing with a white sensor that just goes in the bottom of your bat. So it's super simple to put on. A quick tip before I forget is when you guys are charging the sensors, you do not have to take them out of that little jacket. You can simply just fold it down, place it on your sensor. It's kind of a pain to get that thing in there. Also, it'll make the durability last longer. Just one of those easy tips. It'll make sense if you haven't opened it yet or haven't gotten it yet. It'll make sense when you do. What it does is going to capture your swing speed, so your bat speed. It's going to capture your attack angle, the angle that your bat is traveling towards the ball. So think positive attack angle, you're going up. Negative attack angle, you're going down. Parallel with the ground, you're at 0. This is kind of important because the different tools you're using, like hit tracks and some of the other things, kind of knowing what the issue might be. So if you're hitting a lot of ground balls on hit tracks, but you have the positive attack angle, it just means you're hitting the top part of the ball. If you have a lot of ground balls on hit tracks, but you have a negative attack angle, you're just moving downwards towards the ball. So your coaches in those 4-on-1s are going to be able to navigate kind of what issue to address with you individually. The two things you see on the screen, so you've got the 3D capture. That's essentially just giving you a swing, a 3D animation of your swing. You can play, you can scrub it back and forth, you can walk through slow motion. You can also compare it to video in your Blast Connect profile. So when you guys log in, Blast Connect, you can upload that 3D motion. You can also upload a video, compare them side by side, so you can see your live video swing and then this 3D capture. I think it's pretty important to kind of see kind of where you're coming from when you're getting on playing with the pitch. It's a great visual learning tool for the athletes and families that are working together on trying to address hitting. The training center in your Blast Connect account, there's not only drills to fix certain metrics if they say that they're low, so you guys can kind of rely on those as well as your coaches. You're also going to have access to upload all of your metrics into Blast Connect as well. A couple things that I look at, I don't look at every metric on Blast, so just kind of a brief, kind of just a couple things to look for. Bat speed, if it's going up, that's good. And rotational acceleration, if it's going up, that's good. And then having an attack angle between kind of 5 and 12. The MLB average is 2 to 16. We can kind of narrow that window, aim small, miss small. But, Mike, you want me to touch on anything else?
He didn't say it, but the reason I wanted him to talk about Blast, he hates talking about it, but he's an assistant coach for the Chicago White Sox in the minor league system. And his main job there is to work on data and relate it for his players to the game. Okay, so he uses Blast, he's used all these other awesome tools. He has a lot of experience with it. And his wife actually works for Blast and he hooked us up with it. Okay, so we are extremely excited to implement it into what we do. There's going to be a nice learning curve involved. for us to learn exactly what we want from it, and then for you guys to understand what it is. Okay, so we understand that there's going to be a lot of questions. So over the next couple of weeks, I think over the next couple of weeks, we're going to reach out, we'll walk you guys through everything, make sure everything is easy. We'll just give you all the examples in the world so that we can all be on the same page. Okay, but the cool part about it is it's going to get every single swing. We're going to have metrics. Okay, and those metrics are going to go to our database. We can see every single swing that your son takes this offseason, whether it's with us here, at Coach Joe Hansen's place, by yourself, wherever it is, we'll be able to see it. Okay, so with that said, you guys are required, absolutely required, you need to bring it to every single training session, charged up. If you don't have it, what do you think happens? I don't know about running as a punishment, but you don't get to hit. Okay, so there's going to be a nice little learning curve with that as well, but we're going to make sure that you guys always have your sensor. It's always charged up, ready to go. And then we're going to help you guys and walk you guys through that. We'll spend some extra time that first month making sure everybody has theirs before we leave and things of that nature. Okay?
One thing, just to correct one piece of information there, when he said that his wife hooked us up, that meant she came out and trained our staff how to use it. That the $25,000 check we just wrote, you know, definitely is going to get cashed. So she hooked it up within reason.
Okay, so when we're using Blast, usually it's going to be hooked up to an app to your phone. So you'll be able to see everything that you do. But when you're with us, we're not going to have our phones on. We're going to swing offline. That's what it's called. Okay, so every swing that you take, whether it's on your app that's open or not, it's gonna be uploaded to your profile. Okay, so when you're with us, we don't have to worry about phones or any of that. You just put that sensor on your back, you swing, you don't worry about anything else. It's gonna help us coach you. Okay. The other thing with that is this iPad. I feel like I always have one of these in my hand. So this iPad right here, and all of our coaches, we all have iPads, and we're going to be monitoring. And in coach mode, I can actually sift through in our database while everybody's swinging on an individual level. I can click a name, and those metrics will go up to me. Real time. And so that's how we're going to do the metrics back here for the most part. And then the one-on-one stuff that's completely different, that's when we'll have an iPad up, and we're going to be watching it. We're going to learn together. Okay? So the offline swings part. Okay? The thing that sold me really was to this part right here where you guys don't have to be hooked up to anything. You don't have to be with us. But those swings that you take, you have the number. You know how many swings you take. You know exactly what you're doing away from here. And that's not a threat by any means. It's just one of those things. We want to be connected. As coaches, we need to understand how much you do, how often you do it, so that we can coach you right. And that's the hardest part about a coach. Everybody has that different mental mindset with everything. One kid hits 7 days a week, one hits 2. And we do have to treat them a little bit different. We don't always have that answer to what they're doing. This gives us the answer. Okay, so that's part of that improved feedback. And then as soon as you upload, you go home, those offline swings, you go into your app, you upload them through Wi-Fi, those will go straight to us. We'll be able to see exactly what you're doing. If we have something to say about it, we'll say something right away. We can do it through the database, through your profile, through whatever, through text, through email. Okay, it's going to allow us to connect the dots, which is always the hardest part. And so we're extremely excited about it. And then the other thing, the last thing that we'll do with it, with those 60 yards and those 40 yards and all the other metrics that we take, it gives us a spot to put them. We can put those in there, so you don't always have to be hounding us. What did I run last time? So with all the texts and the emails and, hey, what did we do this time, this time, this time? And we understand you want to know. Now you'll know, and it'll just be in there for you. Questions about anything winter? That's the priority here.
We're not done yet. So just about this.
You might, last night I might have missed it. What do you think
We have most of them here right now.
Yeah.
And we'll pass them out. We'll get everybody situated in the classroom that first day.
Okay, thank you.
So we will send this presentation out to everybody tomorrow, so you'll have it. And that's a link right there. Goes to a Q&A form. If anything comes up, do it through there. We'll reach pretty religiously, and we'll get back to you. Back to you.
Bye.
Question for the winter athletes.
It's different for everyone, right? So you have to really look at his schedule, what he does, the amount of time it takes for him to study and get those grades, and then go from there. There's no expectation on a day, number of days. Our only expectation is for you to love the game and try to do your best.
The time listed in that email for all agents, I saw one who said 14 years.
For practice.
Yeah.
So practice will be that early time.
The other ones.
The other one, right now, we're gonna wait to see how many players are gonna be out there, and then we'll assign. So yeah, the last thing with the winter, before we do move on, we need the registration forms ASAP. This is gonna allow us to schedule everybody, get it out. And usually we like to do it the Friday before we start, which is next Monday. Okay, but we can only do that if everybody cooperates. Okay, so there's one thing you can do when you get home tonight. We ask you to do that. And if you have questions tomorrow, please reach out. Okay, Nelson, now it's your turn.
All right. Going to winter destinations. This is something that I touched on a little bit earlier, saying that that was the opportunities that we were providing, the experience, something that, you know, I know we all really enjoy as coaches. But that picture right there, I think that's from like 2013, 2014. We had about 60 guys that went out to Arizona in January. We had a big chartered bus. You know, just a great memory. And it goes beyond just the baseball part of it. You know, we went on a hike up A Mountain like Arizona State, not just A Mountain. You know, we did a bunch of things as a team that, you know, I think when you ask the guys that have come through the program, they really remember that trip or those events more so than even some of the gameplay. So this year, what we're doing is we have two of them. Martin Luther King weekend, we're actually going to go down to Houston. Okay, and down in Houston, that's the headquarters of Program 15, which many of you are familiar with. But we're going to be a part of a larger scout day down there, working with Major League players, Major League alumni, and there's a few other organizations that are going to be joining us from down in Texas, from the San Antonio area, from the Houston area. We'll play some games, but one of the big hurdles always in January is how game-ready arms are going to be. Right? We don't want to risk injury. We don't want to do anything foolish. So really, we're looking to go down there and get everybody an inning or two. Okay, and if we're not playing in a tournament format, so the number of games that we play are going to be dictated by the number of pitchers that we have. And I've already talked to some other guys down there about lending us pitchers because obviously the Texas high school season starts a little bit sooner. But we're going to make sure based on the number of players that we have that, you know, you're getting your at-bats, you're getting that development, you're getting that chance to, you know, work on the things that you need to do and probably most importantly, get out of the cold. In addition to that, you know, some of the guys came out to the scout day that was a couple weeks ago. I guess it was just last week, wasn't it? That's a great opportunity to get on their watch list. Okay, and I know there's the PBRs and the perfect games, and there's this and that and the other that are out there, and they're all reputable. They're all good companies. I consider myself friends with guys that work for them, guys that own those companies. But I think the difference is this is a little bit different of a lens. And, you know, you have the youth market, you have the competitive high school travel market, then you have professional baseball. And between there, it gets pretty fuzzy. Okay, it's really hard to understand exactly what that looks like. And to have these guys that have been through and written Major League scouting reports and to look at it through that, you know, allows us to be better as coaches, allows us to kind of add credibility to what we're thinking, maybe question us at times. right? Maybe question us and say, hey, their development's still coming. Okay, because the way that the professional baseball works is they're looking at projections, right? You know, when they sign a 18-year-old kid or a 16-year-old international player, you know, they're really asking themselves what he's going to be at 21, 22, sometimes 25, 28 years old. Okay, and we're so caught up, and even more so you as parents, okay, and you as players are caught up in like what's happening right now, right? But you guys are growing every day. Well, even if we don't feel like we are growing every day. Your skill set is developing, okay, and this allows us to get better by those eyes on. Martin Luther Day down in Houston, and then something really cool for President's Day weekend this year. We're going to go out to Scottsdale. Okay, not only are we going to get out on the field and practice and play against some other organizations, but that's also opening weekend for college baseball. And Major League Baseball is holding what they call the MLB4, and Vanderbilt, Michigan, UConn, and Cal Poly are playing in a tournament at the Arizona Diamondbacks spring training facility. Okay, so you got the two teams that competed for the national championship last year with a huge backstory. Players in both of those programs that I've had the chance to coach and work with, you know, playing in a beautiful setting. And we're going to schedule our player development time, our gameplay around what that schedule looks like, and probably have some other neat things that will be planned for that weekend. We also have a few players that have come through here that are at Arizona State. They haven't officially announced their 2020 schedule, but I'm assuming that they open like they do every year at home because they play about 45 of their 56 games at home. So we'll probably head out there at some point too to at least do a facility tour, if not taking one of those games too. So I know it's a lot of stuff right there. Try to paint it with a broad brush, but any questions on the winter destinations? Oh, kids, parents, anybody's welcome to come. So yeah, I mean, we'll take care of the kids with the hotels and all that, but parents are welcome to tag along and do all that stuff as well. Good question. Anyone else? All right. So now we'll go from the winter and we'll fast forward because you've now gone through your high school season and we're in the summer, right? And this is really what every player here is here for. You know, even guys that can't do the winter training or the fall stuff, you know, you're here because you're going to be rostered. Okay, you're going to be rostered on the tournament schedule. You're going to be playing. You want to get out there. So that's what we're going to cover here. And we're just going to hop right to it. So traditionally, you have, like, you've come up through it for some of the younger guys, you know, your 10U, 11U, 12U, 13U, 14U. Going to high school, same thing, 15 on through 18. Well, we're changing that. Okay, and we're changing that and we're making our jobs even more challenging, but we're doing it because we recognize that all 15U players are not 15U players, right? They may be on their birth certificate, okay, but again, some players have developed quicker, some are still a little bit further behind. You know, there's 15U players that are playing varsity baseball, and if we put a kid, a 15-year-old player that just came off a spring of playing varsity baseball, into a 15U travel game where he's facing pitching at 62 miles an hour, is that really helping him? I'd make the argument not. Okay, I'd also say that when you get to 16U, we talk about it all the time, and these guys as players, but now they're seeing it as coaches. When you get to 16 years old, it's a very offensive year. Numbers are crazy because a lot of the best pitching goes up. A lot of the best hitters might stay down because they're behind people. So you get this false sense of confidence as to who you are as a player. Okay, so the thing I put up there is that we're preparing for the next level plus one. Okay, we're preparing for the next level plus one. We talk about it all the time. We'd rather go and play in a good event against great teams and kind of get our teeth kicked in a little bit than go out and win 15-0 against teams that, you know, anybody can beat. Okay, we want to train, we want to play, we want to compete for the next level plus one. If you're a varsity player, we want you to set your goals on playing at the college level and above. Okay, if you're just trying to make your freshman team, we're going to find something that is, you know, applicable to you. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? So there may be 15U or 16U or 17U tournaments on their tournament schedule, but we're looking at this entire program, okay, almost like a major league organization, right? And I don't know how familiar you are with how that works, okay? And everybody's like, oh yeah, there's single A and double A and triple A, and then there's like the major leagues. Well, you know, most major league organizations, it takes 5 levels, sometimes 6 or 8 when you include the foreign academies just to get out of A ball. Right? There's like the Dominican, the Venezuelan academies, there's rookie ball, there's short season A, there's low A, there's high A. And if you make it through that meat grinder, you might, okay, and that's kind of how we're looking at this with college baseball being that next level, okay, with professional baseball in some cases being that next level. To accomplish it, okay, we're going to play a lot of guys probably up, okay, simply put. They're going to be playing up. So we're going to be referring to teams as underclass, upperclass. And you could say that's 16U and then 17, 18U, but you know, it's going to depend on the weekend. It's going to depend on who's playing where. Okay, so like I said, it's going to be a little bit more manually intensive for us to go through and make sure guys are scheduled accordingly. But I think the net gains that you'll see are going to be significantly greater. Okay, the other part of that is we don't want players stuck. Okay, if we simply said, okay, you at 15 or 16 years old, you are on this roster and you're the 3rd or 4th middle infielder, and all of a sudden you're playing 60% of your innings out in left field, you're not preparing the way that you should be for your high school team, right? Or for what you came there for. So we don't want players to ever feel like they're stuck. And, you know, in the past, you've had to have conversations, hey, this is the roster makeup. You know, now we can look at different options. Okay, is everybody understanding that? And I know there's gonna be a ton of questions around it and they're never gonna end. Okay, and there's not always gonna be a perfect answer. Okay, there's not always going to be a perfect answer, but at least now there's an option. As a part of that, you know, we said like a major league organization. Okay, you guys know what a 40-man roster is? All right, a 40-man roster are the guys that are protected. It means the guys that are on their active major league roster plus any minor leaguers, okay, that they're protecting from going through the Rule 5 draft, from going through, you know, a lot of different things. Okay, so we're actually looking at our program like that. Okay, we're going to have our Founders 40, as we're calling it, and you can follow along on your phones if you have that out. But what the Founders 40 is really, if you break down numbers wise, it's about the top 25% of the entire program. Could be a 14-year-old, could be a 17-year-old. Okay, and the reason it's important to identify those players is that when we do go and travel a great distance, we want to make sure that you are investing your money wisely. Okay, we don't want you to spend money to go halfway across the country with unreasonable expectations. Okay, again, we want to provide that value and we want to be transparent about it. Okay, so if a kid is likely going to play college baseball somewhere within a couple hours of here, and his reasoning for wanting to go to a different event is for this college exposure, we want to make sure that we're scheduling that properly, scheduling that accordingly. Okay, the other part of that is that you don't just show up at a field and a bunch of colleges or pro scouts come out there just because you're at a great tournament. They go where the best players are going to be. Okay, they go where the best players are going to be. I wasn't one of those best players. And I think Powers, you're the only one that was on that level. But, you know, you need to be surrounded with high-level, draftable, Power 5 type players in order to draw those sort of coaches out. You're not just going to hang your hat on a name. Okay, and that's what that's designed to do. With the Founders 40, okay, we're kind of putting this on a pedestal a little bit and we're challenging these players because baseball and playing at a high level isn't just about playing the game. Okay, it's learning how to function in the community. It's learning how to keep your grades up. Okay, because if they go to a Big Ten campus or they go to the Missouri Valley or they go to a big program and they don't meet grades, there goes a scholarship. They're heading back home, they're to junior college next year. Okay, that's how cutthroat it is. They go out there and they do something that isn't favorable by the coaches, same thing occurs. Okay, so if players are going to be a part of this, they're going to turn in academic reports twice a month. Okay, and Bryce and Pug will send out emails how those are going to be processed. Okay, but we're going to collect academic progress reports because that has to be the most important thing. You're going to participate, and this will be with other guys in the program, but you're going to help run a youth clinic. You're going to help run a youth camp. Okay, it could be in your community, could be at your high school, could be something your high school is already putting on. Okay, but you have to understand, if you want to be a great player, you have to understand how to coach, how to organize things. And I think anybody here would, and for any of you that have coached as well, you became a better employee once you learned how to be a better boss, right? And vice versa. Okay, so that's important, giving back in that regard. Okay, volunteer opportunity. Okay, we're piling it on. Okay, because if we're going to put our name on these players and put them on this pedestal, okay, then there's going to be a lot to it. Some other things that are on there, record and be held accountable to short and long-term goals. Understand the tribe pillars. Okay, and we'll talk about that here at the end and promote that to their teammates. And these last two are things that, in talking to Bryce and Pug, that they felt were really, really important, and I would have to agree, is commitment to attending some of the bigger events. Okay, because if we can't do that, then not only does that, I don't want to say reflect poorly on you because you're not there anyways, but it kind of hamstrings the rest of the team. Okay, when these guys are going through and picking out what events to play in, and they want to go to a high profile, highly competitive event with the thought in mind that they're going to have this roster of players and a bunch of guys back out at the end, that makes it really challenging. Okay, so that's another reason why we're scheduling things this way, is we want to get ahead of that, okay, and get that commitment and make sure that those guys are going to be in attendance. Okay, so I probably won't ask, I'm sure there's a lot of things running through your head right now, but there will be follow-up on this. We'll explain in greater detail, and things will start to make a little bit more sense as we go.
Just to make sure we're all clear there. It's not traditional, right? Okay, the 16U, 15U thing, but as a program, we've gone back and forth on what's best for the players. And anybody out there that knows me, I'm a pretty sincere guy, and this is the way that we're going to do things to help your son. It's one of those things where it's weird, it's not what everybody else is doing, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's the complete opposite. Okay, so like Nelson said, there will be a lot of follow-up on this. We will mark the steps of everything, and we'll make sure everybody understands what everybody's doing this summer. Okay, because that's a huge part of this. And we clear? Awesome. So this is the other awesome part of the summer. Something that our coaching staff loves and hates. Our travel tournaments. Okay, so we actually stay together. Coaches, we watch the players. They're in the hotel rooms together. It's like a college style thing. It's mandatory for the guys that are going to be primarily Indians guys, and then you have the Western players that are on a little bit different set. And that's when it's going to be optional. We'll run through that at a different time. Okay, but there will be an additional cost involved. That price per player includes those items up there. Okay, so you legitimately chaperone your son for the whole entire weekend. Okay, so like I said, it's fun. It's great. You really get to understand the players a little bit more. It is definitely a job. Very difficult. It's something that we won't change ever because we love it. And now I understand what it is to be a parent. Literally what it is.
It's a big statement.
Yeah. There's our average cost per night. It really depends on where we go, how long we're going to be there. And it's going to be based off the hotel and then the other items that are included. And why do we do it this way? I said earlier, player development is the goal. Like, getting away from your parents and learning how to survive, that's a big thing. And we can do that at the younger age levels, at the freshman level. By the time they're seniors, they're a little bit more grown up. That's huge. So that player development from the social aspect of it, being with your boys and doing it that way, and then just being a better baseball player, because you get to focus on baseball. You don't have to go with your parents to do all these other things. You can if you want to still, that'll be optional. But it's one of those things where you're with us, we're going to focus on baseball, we're going to get better. That's why we love it. And then the budgetary part. Parents, it's very hard to get off work. I get a lot of emails in like January and February asking, hey, when are our travel events? You need to take off work. Hey, well, this budgetary consideration part's huge. If you trust us, we will. You can stay home and get what you have to get done. We prefer that. At the younger ages, parents still go, and it's something we love. We'll include them in everything. But if you're a parent, you should trust us. We'll build that trust throughout this off season, forever here, and we'll make sure that they have a great experience with it. Those 2 vans on the side, we own those 2 vans, and we love those vans. Some memories are created in there. And a lot of weird music, a lot of craziness. I have some crazy stories about that, but I'm not going to talk about it. That's an optional extra thing. So if you are going to stay at home as a parent, you can get them in the van with us. He's ours for the weekend, for the week, really, whatever it is.
And I just want to kind of put some numbers behind what he's saying about the budget part. If you said the average kid goes away for 2 weekends per summer, 6-7 nights at that price, you're about $800-900 for the entire summer of travel. You go away with your family and you guys all travel, you're looking at probably $1,500-2,000, right? Between the transportation, the food, the hotel rooms, and everything else. And that's just for 1 weekend. So you multiply that by 4 years, we've done it with a bunch of different schedules, and you end up coming out, $7,000 a head. Okay, and you're still there for all the local tournaments, and you're still there to see them play. And, that's one of the toughest things for us is when, we understand, like I said, with my daughters and their activities, we know that all the expenses that go on with it. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to understand when somebody's like, listen, we just can't afford to do this, but then we have to take, my son and his 4 siblings, and then you're going out for steaks every night and buying out the gift shop. And you're like, well, I thought you couldn't afford this, and I just watched you spend $400 on Perfect Game t-shirts. But that's part of it. Like we're aware of all this, and we want to make it work. So just want to put some numbers behind it.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of extra optional things so far. And it's important to understand that every player in this room means the same to us as the next. And we don't care how much you do or how little you do with us. You're still part of our program. Okay, so everything we're talking about is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. Okay, but we want you guys to be a part of what you can. And as a family, we can help you make those decisions if you like. But that's kind of a chart up there, what you're looking at.
All right, partnerships now. All right. If you guys want to take like a couple minutes here, if anybody needs to use the restroom, we'll fly through the next part of it. So the partnerships, Connor's going to speak about Visual Edge. So I know it's about an hour in right now. This is a longer one, but we should get through the next part pretty quickly. So if you want to take like 2 minutes, get something, just stand up and stretch out. We might be losing people at an hour.
Hey, Nelson.
Yes.
Dave Gasco.
Hey, how you doing?
Joey'd love to meet you before
Yeah,
you guys leave.
absolutely.
I know everyone's going to bum rush you.
Absolutely. No. Yeah, we're not going anywhere. So
Yeah, Don said if I don't talk to you before we leave,
Oh, something's
For
gonna
one.
happen.
Yeah,
All right.
he's gonna tell Scott, you know.
Oh,
you're
then
in trouble.
I'm really scared of
You're in
that one.
trouble.
All right.
So you know, Joey had ACL surgery.
I heard about that.
Yeah, he was on a bike once, 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
He's already.
That's awesome.
So you know, he wants to get everything out of this program that he can. So whatever we can do.
So he's not gonna be able to wrestle then, right?
No, he's not wrestling.
Yeah.
So everything's baseball right now.
Okay.
It's all true baseball.
We should plug this in because if
Joe.
let's see if we're gonna put him in touch with
Gonna say hi to Coach.
Harvard Ledger,
Oh,
like
he's
Buffalo
running
Grove
away.
kid.
Yeah,
Oh, he's not.
Taking two of them down.
yeah.
And came
That's what he
back.
said. That's what he told me on the phone. Yeah.
Came back. How you doing? Good to finally meet you. I heard a lot about you and been following you along a little bit. Feeling better?
Yeah.
On the right path here?
3 weeks. I mean, he's doing pretty good.
That's impressive. Super impressive. I went for a jog yesterday and walked today.
So,
Well, very good.
so what can we get? What can we get out of the program while he's kind of laid up? You know what I mean? Because kids are going to start meeting and doing workouts and all that stuff.
Right.
Joey wants to do something
Sure.
because he wants to be ready.
What's like the timeline for getting and doing all that?
So he's upper body right now. And he could come in to do bands and arms or whatever.
Yeah, and I would just say come around and you don't necessarily have to sign up for anything specific until you know.
They won't let him run till January, obviously. And his doctor is pretty firm on the 6-month clearing for activity. He's seeing a trainer like 6 days a week. So, you know, March 1st, he's going to be ready to go. But they won't clear him for 6 months.
Right.
I'd
Yeah.
like to see him hit early because hitting's going to be, you know, if he could start hitting.
Right. That'll get this. Come in. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you in a minute. What's that? I'm doing my best.
Hi, Dan Stein.
Yeah, how you doing?
The travel tournament, during the summer schedule, how many of them are travel tournaments or local tournaments?
Most kids will travel like 2 weekends, but you have the option of always playing local. So you don't have to, depending on the high school schedule and everything else.
How many tournaments would you during the summer total?
8. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Yeah, well, I mean,
you know, I'd like to get him in here so he can start doing stuff, upper body hitting.
Yeah.
And then just
come
be
around.
ready. You know, just be ready.
Just come around, show up, do what you can, and yeah, don't worry about. We'll talk to those guys. Don't worry about signing up for anything now. That's just not. That would be silly.
Yeah. So should we follow like the path, like a normal, you know, whatever, buying stuff and you know, he's not going to participate in any winter training unless you guys have stuff that he can do, you know, upper body.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's why I say don't worry about signing up for anything.
All right.
Like it's not. It'd be a waste. Like,
Yeah.
Right now, especially. You get to January. I mean, come around for everything now. See what you guys are doing. You know, you feel like there's activities that you can do. Hop in a group. You know, it's all good. Everything's clear with them, and then we'll see. You know how quickly it progresses. And go from there. So, yeah, don't push it. Don't feel like you're obligated to do anything.
No, no, we want to be, you know, I want him fully healed and ready to go. At the same time, you know, he's aggressive in terms of getting ready and getting back in.
Right.
So sitting still is not an option.
I hear you. Let's get through this. I know people are getting anxious.
All right.
And,
Thanks.
yeah, appreciate it. Thank you guys. All right, we'll get going again here. Try to grab a seat. We'll get started again.
Are these open up front?
They're open. The people that were standing, you can come sit up here. All right, we're going to go into the partnership and then kind of the tail end closing after the partners. I know that we sent out an email last week that listed out a lot of this stuff in varying degrees of detail, but we want to walk through some of it. Okay, and the first one, I'm actually super excited to have him out here. Connor Powers, one of the best hitters, high school hitters. I had the chance to see. Went on to play high-level college baseball. Went on to play professionally. And, fortunately for us, the company that he's with right now is just down the street, but they're impacting teams at the major league level, teams across the country, different events. So I'll let Connor talk more about Visual Edge.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson, for having me out tonight. All right, so Visual Edge, right? So I'll just try to keep it brief and give you guys a pretty concise explanation of what Visual Edge is. So Visual Edge is a visual evaluation and training tool. This word to explain it is almost like weightlifting for your visual system. Okay? So essentially what we do, we work with Olympic teams, we work with pro teams. Currently we have 9 major league teams that use Visual Edge. Okay? So we work with pro teams, we work with college teams, and I'll tell you a story in a little bit about one of the college players who used Visual Edge last year and the impact that it had on his game. We've also worked with individuals and youth organizations throughout the United States. This past summer, we were at Program 15 events. We were doing screenings, we were doing evaluations for those players at those events. Okay, so next one. All right, so these are the skills. These are the visual skills that we test players on. So the first one, visual alignment. Maybe the Bears kicker should have been tested today. Too soon? All right. Anyway, so visual alignment. So how well do your eyes actually line up together when they're working together? We use 3D glasses. You put the 3D glasses on, and then we're actually able to test how your eyes and their normal resting posture, how they work, and how they actually line up on an object together. So a lot of times we see players who may have some issues with some consistency, usually have alignment issues. Next, we test depth. So I always laugh at this one because I can never really catch pop-ups, and I play first base and third base. I still remember Corey Spangenberg. I played with him a lot on the minor leagues with the San Diego Padres. He's kind of a quad A guy. He's up and down. Before every game, he's Spangy. We always call him Spangy. Spangy was a little bit spacey, and I always had to remind him of, hey, Spangy, there's a ball that goes way up in the air. Just remember, you got to catch it because I'm gonna act like I can't see it. That would just pop ups all the time. So on our evaluation is actually one of the things, I'll talk more about that in a second, that came out. The bottom 4 that you're going to see there, convergence, divergence, recognition, and tracking, we have over 12,000 evaluations from major league draft prospects. And so the way that that works is an area scout will come in, they will sit down with the player, they'll give them our evaluation. So these are guys that have been singled out by major league teams. We have over 12,000 of them we collected over the last 12 years. And what we've seen, what the data tells us, is that convergence, which is going to be how your eyes actually track and how your brain processes the information of the ball in the last 15 to 20 feet. Okay, the bottom 4, convergence, divergence, recognition, and tracking, 4 most important ones that we see out of data. So again, convergence, how you track the ball in the last 15 to 20 feet. Divergence, this one's also a really interesting one because this is going to be more how you see spin. So divergence is seeing the ball from further distances or being able to actually pick the ball up out of the hand and see spin. I work with some hitters, and one of the things that I was asked them, I say, hey, I started with that back in March, and for some of my hitters, it was clear they couldn't see the spin on the ball because I put on a breaking ball machine, really easy pitch to hit, they just couldn't hit it. And lo and behold, I have them take the test, and they do terrible. And again, these are all things that you can improve on. Pattern recognition in baseball, to me, this is read and react. Okay, so how well you can actually read the situation and then react to it. So whether you're hitting, whether you're playing defense in the infield, whether you're catching, it's a read and react skill. And then tracking is actually how your eyes move. There's static movements of the eyes, how quickly they jump around. So in those last 4, you can, the next one else. So in those last 4, those are the 4 most important. I'll go into that in a second, but just one quick thing here. Everything we do is completely web-based. So if you guys sign up for the training that we have online, you get an evaluation that assesses your visual skills. You do it from home. We mail you the classes. If there's videos that walk you through it, and then again, everything is online. You can do it from home, from a computer, or a laptop when you do sign up. And then back to, and then so this is the MOB analysis. This is one of the things I like to show. So from those 12,000 evaluations, our data says that players who have better visual skills perform better on the field on average. And for those guys that have 118 Major League, well, 117, the last analysis we did was 118 a couple weeks ago. But their visual skills, not shockingly, are better. So not only can they physically do the things they need to do to be great players, not only can they mentally do the things they need to do to be great players, but they also have extremely good visual skills. You know, on-base percentage, there's a list of them, and I'll email them to you guys in the follow-up. There's a whole lot of stats that we have, just basically showing players at the major league level who have better visual skills. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about, just bringing this out, making you guys aware of this, because visual skills actually I'd say they're on below where they need to make it to the major league level. So for you guys, with the availability that we have of our online platform, you have the ability to, one, get an understanding of where you're at, two, train your visual skills to help you now, and then three, set yourself up for success later. Just a quick story about an NCAA player last year. He was really struggling his freshman year. Really good player in high school, got to D1, could come back to the dugout all the time and just say, hey, I didn't see it. Take a strike three. I didn't see it. Coach was like, what? I don't understand. We need to see it. And that's one of the things that can get, that's for the processing, visual processing. So your 20/20 is going to be the base of your visual system. We work on how your eyes actually process the moving ball, okay? And when he scored, or when he took the evaluation, he did terrible on his conversions. He scored in the 90th percentile. So this was something that he may not necessarily have even really known about, because on average, the pitching he was facing wherever he came from was not even close to the consistency that you're going to see at the college level. So anyways, he does the training, and then the next year he improved quite a bit. He actually come back to the dugout and say, hey, I knew that was a slider. Hey, I'm able to see the spin of the pitch now. I have a better idea, better understanding of where that's at. So how I personally scored on the evaluation, so my depth, like I said, was not that great. Where I was not as good as I needed to be was in that convergent skill, which is going to be the most important one that we see in the data. So how you actually track the ball in the last 15 to 20 feet. When you see a guy, you can actually go to the next one, I think. Okay, so this is just more information, more data. Go to the next one. There we go. This will be the last slide I go over with you guys. So most of the players, so we have all the players in the Indians program take the evaluation. Most of the time, they're going to end up between stage 1 and stage 2, just somewhere around the ability to actually use their visual skills, the ability to converge, the ability to diverge. When you see players that are at the major league level and that score very well on this, like, for example, a guy who's a left-handed hitter on the Dodgers who hits pretty well, his visual skills are very high. Again, we have lots and lots of data, but I can't technically share it with you. But just a little bit of a snapshot into that. So again, that's what our goal is. We have you take the evaluation, and then we set you up with a completely customized training program based on how you score on the evaluation. And the idea is to continue to move you up that visual efficiency curve there with visual training. So again, everything is online, and that's essentially the way that our program works. You guys will get emails that explain even a little bit more. I will be on that. You can reply, ask any questions. I'll give you guys more information. You guys will also get a 60% off discount because you guys are with me. So that's in a snapshot what we do here at Visual Edge. Again, it's going to be something that helps your guys out now, sets them up for later success as well. So thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Tom. All right, just again, another opportunity for the guys to improve something we've never offered before, but is obviously important, and there's a lot of value to. Next thing, NCSA. You know, most of you are aware that that is my full-time job. That's why these guys are running the day-to-day with the Indians, is because for the past 6 years, I've worked with NCSA. For the past 2.5 years, I've served as their director of all baseball partnerships. And, you know, what is NCSA? Very simple. It's the LinkedIn, it's the Amazon, it's the Facebook, it's the whatever you want to call it of recruiting. Okay, and what led me to NCSA were these players. Okay, back 6 years ago, we had, I think, 13, 14 guys that were early commits. They verbally committed to schools early in the 2014 class. So they're either sophomores or juniors at the time. And some of them made completely good sense. You know, I talked to the coaches. They had been at events near the school, so I could kind of trace back how it happened. But for some of them, I really scratched my head at. You know, we never had any communication with them. These guys were landing places, and you know, I found out afterwards that out of those 14, 9 of them were using NCSA. Okay, so I'm like, there's got to be something to this. Fortunately for us, for me, we're headquartered in Chicago, you know, right at like Halstead and Division. So I got in my car, drove down there. At the time, there were about 300 employees. There's over 800 now. And, you know, met with the guy that started it, Chris Kraus. He's played football at Vanderbilt, had lunch with him, and I'm like, you know, I have to figure out how this works. You know, tell me what you're doing, show me what you're doing, and walk me around and showing the technology, showing me the coaches that were working with the players, working with the families. It made totally good sense. Okay, and it's so challenging for anyone here, okay, to handle that part of the process with your own child. Okay, to assume that one coach or a couple coaches can do it for 180 players, or at your high school that they could do it one coach for 25 or 20 on a varsity roster or 70 in a program, that's even more challenging. Okay, but what does happen is if you fill out all of your information and you keep it up to date, okay, coaches do look. Okay, they most certainly do look. Okay, so one of the benefits of being a part of the program are the things that you can kind of not see up there right now, but you can see on your phone. But you get your profile. Okay, you get a match percentage. You get the matching algorithm. You get the college activity that you can look up at any point in time to see what schools are actually looking at your profile. Okay, you get NCSA University. So when you have questions, there's different courses that you could take on there that are going to tell you step by step, hey, how do I draft this email to a college coach? What do I say when I go on an unofficial visit? What is an unofficial visit? All right, very, very simple things that are daunting when you're actually going through it. Okay, so the way it works with being with the Indians is if you just went and signed up online and took the free version, there's that first tier there that's called the starter package. The next one up is called All-Star, and part of being a part of the program is that everybody has that. So all the digital tools should be unlocked. I know that these guys have sent out, like in GroupMe, or sent out emails on how to confirm that you're a part of that. If you haven't seen anything on that, you know, make sure that you get with us afterwards to make sure that your profile is connected to our Indians account, okay, and we're able to see what's going on. Okay, and the neat thing for us, just like with Blast, just like with Visual Edge, just like with all those other technologies that we talked about, is that in any point in time, any of your coaches can log in and see what schools are interacting with. Okay, so it's been neat in the sense that it's created some pipelines for us, places that we know the coaching staffs well, and we're able to send them. It's provided a level of transparency to you guys to know what schools are looking at you, because if you just post your video on YouTube but don't attach it to your profile, you don't know who the heck's looking at it, right? Okay, so that's why it's real important when they record new video and they send that out to you, okay, to go through those additional steps and make sure that you're linking those things together. Okay, so again, there's too much. This is a very long drinking through a fire hose type meeting. But if you do have questions on it, you know, feel free to reach out to me on the NCSA part. All right, we're nearing the end, folks, I promise. So the next one, we've talked a lot about the Marucci Founders Club and emails, and there's press releases and everything. Are you playing that, or you're playing it? So just a short video from Kyle here. Let's see if this works. Not hearing anything. It's a little bit hard to hear. Maybe the videos aren't going to work. That's actually you guys' benefit, because that makes this shorter. So essentially, like you said in the video, like we've emailed out before, the Marucci's Founder Club, we're the only one in the state of Illinois. There's only 27 programs throughout the entire country. You know, you guys have seen what that does on the product side and the things that that gives you access to. Probably most importantly for us as an organization, it gives us access to other organizations and to other programs and to see what they're doing. Okay, see how they're running things, see what's new and up and coming, to get a better understanding of what the best events are to go to, have needs. So it's really created this community for us, okay, that's only going to be a trickle-down effect to the players. Okay, one of the other neat things about that is access to the Founders Club Nationals or World Series, which is down at LSU. That event is going to be probably different than some of the other ones that we do, in the sense that, you know, we're going to open it up. Okay, we want everybody to be able to attend something like that. It's important. It's a neat experience, you know, much like a Cooperstown when you're 12 years old, or some of the other big events. It's something that, you know, we feel is really important for everybody to be a part of if you're able to do it. The next video that probably won't play either. Oh, he's over there.
Hey guys, Jeremy from CEO of Program 15, Rebounds Baseball Future Stars Series, local issue Rebounds Baseball. Also came to 11 baseball handlers in Houston, Texas. World Series here, Game 5, Garrett Cole against Ross tonight here at Washington, D.C. You guys doing great things from Chicago. Looking forward to seeing you. Other big things from the players coming this summer with National Combine, at the Parker National League, and of course regional combines. Look forward to seeing you.
So again, you'll be able to see those when you look on your phone later, and we'll email it out. But same idea with Program 15. I touched on it earlier with the event that we're going to have in January down there, but it's a fresh set of eyes. Okay, and if you look at their advisory board, there's minor league coaches, there's major league executives, and everything in between. Okay, and we could be a driving force in kind of the path that, you know, this whole travel baseball thing takes on. Okay, and you guys end up reaping the benefits of that because you get access to things that other programs do not. Okay, and again, we'll send out more info on that and a little bit more background. We're going to skip the New Balance one because that one's not playing. The last one here, and this was sent out. You want to be on that one, Pug?
I'm Tyler with the Baseball Performance Group, and I want to start this out by telling a little story about my affiliation with the Illinois Unions and why I can't wait to get this 1% program going with you guys. So in 2015, I was the summer ball coach and coach for the Illinois Unions, and after a great summer, we rolled into the playoffs as the number 2 seed, and we choked. We were planning on winning the championship in the first game. Not only did we lose, but we lost 13-1 or 13-2. It was not fun. And after that game, we were all so frustrated. Myself and my team were so frustrated ourselves because we kept thinking, man, we did everything physically possible to get ready for this game. We had taken back cards, we had taken ground balls, we had the wins. But of course, we rolled in there and felt flat. And we were missing an edge, we were missing something. So that whole year until the next summer came out, I started studying mentally. And also we met with this guy, Brian Kane. And then afterwards, the next season 2016 came around. And not only did we go to the playoffs as the number 1 seed, we won a division, won the league, but we won the single elimination team tournament and won the championship. So we went from trophy to champions. It was because we practiced mental game. We didn't change anything, we still practiced just as much, but we added in the mental game. That's what this 1% program is going to help give you that edge. So that when that 90-10 shift happens, when I talk about 90-10 shift, a lot of the league athletes that I work with, they say that in training, it's like 90% physical and 10% mental. As soon as they get out there, they compete, it becomes 90% mental and 10% physical. So when that shift happens, our going to be right. And this 1% program is done to help you with that shift. Also, 1% program is
You said shift.
40 minutes in a day. 1% of that is 14 minutes and 24 seconds. So everybody talks about all the time. Oh, give 1%, give 1%, 1%. How do you actually know if you're taking 1% better? Well, that's why we're spending 14 minutes and 24 seconds. 1% of our days, 9% better in the game. That way we can really have to on the pill. You know for a fact that I got better today. So the 1% program is going to be every Thursday from 7:30 to 7:45 on Zoom, so you can access it from anywhere. You can be at the facility, you can be at home, you can be in the car, and it's going to come with a digital workbook as well. And then you'll also be invited to a private Facebook group so that you can continue to work on that day in and day out, not just on Thursday events. Looking forward to having you there. Thank you so much, Nelson and Mike and the young ladies for sharing this message.
All right. So this is something that's a no-brainer. It's actually a really big brainer, right? It's a mental game, but it's a no-brainer in the sense that, you know, I think the price of it was $40 or $50 for 15, 18 weeks of programming. You know, it takes 15 minutes every Thursday. But here's why it's even more important. You know, Pug made the joke earlier that, you know, you can't look like him and play at the next level. And he was a pretty darn good player, but he's right. Like that was the one thing that he lacked. But I would say for the vast majority of players, even the most physical ones, most talented ones in many cases, that's where the game passes them by. Okay, and if I could point to one thing that kind of derailed, you know, my performance and, you know, made it more difficult on me, it was exactly that. I came from like a football mindset and football background. You know, my problem wasn't not being strong enough. It was that I was too physical in some cases, and I had to learn to deal with some of my emotions in different ways as a player. But when that happened and I finally got that part under control, I was in my own head. I didn't have a physical release to try to deal with failure. I couldn't, you know, break anything or do that. But I had self-defeating thoughts. You know, an 0 for 4 would turn into an 0 for a weekend. I think at one point professionally I had an 0 for 27. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. And then I finally got a base hit and I tried to stretch it into a double, dove in head first, and my helmet came in my nose and I cracked my nose. So even when I finally got a hit, came with some scars. But this is, you know, the mental game is where it's at. Okay, and the other reason I'll say that is it goes beyond just baseball. Okay, and this is going to segue into the last part of tonight. But that's really like the way you have to look at it. Tyler hasn't played collegiate baseball in, what's it been now, 7 years, 8 years? He's a kid that 5'9", 5'10", was a left-handed pitcher, earned a Division I scholarship to Indiana State. Okay, because he was a pretty tough kid up here. Okay, saw things before they were going to happen. Unfortunately for him, he had a couple injuries while he was there and called me up one day and he's like, hey coach, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. He's like, I know I'm gonna stay in school. Okay, I think I wanna get my master's. I either wanna go into PT or, you know, possibly sports psych, because those are the two things that I've been dealing a lot with lately. And that's what he's pursued passionately. And you fast forward to right now, he's working with University of Notre Dame's baseball team, Talked to him on Sunday. He was going down to Oklahoma to work with their baseball team. Works with USA Bowling. I know that sounds pretty interesting. Works with the national basketball team in Iceland. And he's a special person. They actually ran a 100-mile race over the summer. So, he's got to be a pretty mentally tough guy. Okay. But it's something that, I think if you had to choose between a few different things, it's definitely worth the investment there when it comes to Tyler. And with that being the case, I'll go through the last part here. Maybe. Oh, there you go. Okay, so you see a little banner up there, and what's it say up at the top? You can actually maybe read that, right? Maybe some people, what's it say at the top? Tribe. So tribe used to just be reserved for kind of that Founders 40 thing that I was talking about before. We'd have our Indians teams and then our tribe teams, which would be like our top team at some age levels. But it was actually Tyler that kind of convinced me to do otherwise. And the reason being, anybody that was at the program meeting last year, Tyler likes acronyms a lot, right? Loves his acronyms. And he came up with a pretty good one for tribe. The team that he was talking about, the collegiate team, here's what tribe stands for. Okay, so the first one is, if you guys hold up your pinky finger, go ahead and hold it up like this. Okay, anatomically, the pinky finger is the only one that you have that is purely for strength. Okay, it serves really no other function than when you're gripping something, like that provides the additional support to do some pretty significant things. Okay, so it's for toughness. And you can see down there at the bottom, it says, what is toughness? It's embracing adversity and pressure and use it to our advantage. Something goes wrong on the field, right? Flush it, move on. Something goes wrong on a test, flush it, move on. Okay, but use that as a learning experience. Use that adversity to fuel you to do better the next time. Learn from it and move on. That makes sense? That's our T right there. The next one, responsibility. Okay, you got that ring finger. I have a ring right there, and you can make an analogy with that one. But responsibility, taking ownership for our actions and our behaviors. All right, take responsibility for it. Okay, pretty simple stuff right there. Next one, I know you're like, he's not really gonna put this up, is he? No, we chickened out. And it kind of makes sense. Okay, so the I, you hold up a peace sign. Okay, go ahead and hold up a peace sign because it makes sense. The I is for independent. Okay, and we're not influenced by others. Like we knew standing up here saying we're not doing a 15-year-old group or a 16-year-old group, like we're gonna get pushed back, there's gonna be questions. It would have been easy to say the hell with it, let's just go with what everybody else is doing. Okay, but we've talked for probably 3 years about some parts of that. And we finally said, you want to know what, enough's enough. Like we know in our heart, this is what's right. We know it's the best thing for the players. So we could follow everybody else, or we could do what we really know is going to help players, even though it means more work, more questions, more things that are going to come up because of it. Okay, and same thing with you as players. Okay, it's real easy to say, yeah, you want to know what? My buddies are all going out tonight and there's no real plans, but they go hang out at this park, okay, and do whatever. But we have practice the next morning at 8 a.m. or even like maybe they're up to no good over there. It's real easy just to go with the flow and say, yeah, like, oh, we'll figure it out later. It's not as easy to say, you want to know what? I'm committed to the team. I'm committed to reaching my goals. I'm not going to go. I'm going to ask a couple of those guys who are my teammates, hey, why don't we just go watch a movie? Why don't you guys just hang out? We'll order some pizza and play Fortnite. I know it sounds silly, but it's the alternative, right? Okay, so we can't be influenced, okay, by others. Next one here, you can put up a pointer finger, but you can point to the ground. Okay, and that means be in the moment, be present, be where your feet are at. Okay, we will stay present. Our process will produce the outcome desired. Talked about people growing at different rates. There are going to be times when you're in those cages, or you're out here doing drills, you're with Bryce over there in the corner, you're going to be super frustrated. Many times you go 0 for 27, okay, where the world's going to come raining down on you, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Okay, but we can't control the past 27 at bats, can we? We can't change the fact that we swung and missed in the cage a few times, or we didn't see that breaking ball and it froze us. Can't change any of that. What's the only thing that we can control? Right now, right? So when you feel that stuff starting to come on, be in the moment. Then the last one, the E, and give a thumbs up. Probably my favorite emoji that I use. Unless I'm texting my daughter and I use the eye rolling one because that gets her upset. So bring it every day. You're either giving it or you're stealing it. Okay, real simple thing. And same thing, you see it in here all the time. Guys moping around, guys super high energy. Okay, and that energy doesn't have to be rah-rah, doesn't have to be like jumping, bouncing off walls. We talk about that all the time too. Pug does not have Tyler Pazik's personality, right? Bryce and I are not the same. None of these guys are here, so you could bring it in your own way. Okay, you could do it by putting your arm around somebody, you could do it by giving somebody a high five, by picking them up when they're down. Okay, you can give energy to other people in other ways than being loud and everything else. Okay, but you have to bring that positive energy each and every day. So does that make sense to everybody? Right, so you got pinky, ring finger, peace sign. Be where your feet are, thumbs up. Okay, and I said at the beginning, you know, why play for the Indians? You know, when we're going through this exercise every year of putting together our plan for the upcoming season, nostalgic and, you know, emotional players, and you see some of the team pictures around there from years past. But the one in the middle, and you know, a lot of these guys were here. We did a little alumni gathering between Christmas and New Year's this year. Okay, and they all got tribe hats, right? Those license plate ones. I think a few of you got them as well. But that's what's special. Okay, that's what's really, really cool. And sitting around listening to them tell stories about when they play together, hearing about what they're doing in their professional life, right? How they're doing at school. Okay, how they're helping each other, like them networking within each other is really, really neat to see. Okay, and you know, I hear it all the time. You know, you guys have children that are obviously older than mine, but you know, it's like you blink a couple times and all of a sudden, you know, the next big thing happens. Okay, and that's what happens with these guys for us. But stick with it. Okay, and baseball is not the be all end all. It's our mode of operandum. It's the way we relate to each other. It's why we're all here together tonight. Okay, but in over 27, the world's not going to end. Okay, you don't get a scholarship to Mississippi State, the world's not going to end. Okay, all these guys have their own individual stories of failures and successes, but they're all here and they're still loving the game, and they played at all different division levels. Okay, to all different points in their life. Okay, but those friendships and everything else are what really matter. Okay, and you know, I said that culture, said that network. The last thing, and I'll throw this out there because you guys will be receiving stuff. For a while, we asked for sponsorships. You know, we went through that whole exercise, you know, did the banners and all that. If we're truly going to be a network and we have this culture created, like, I think that we should use each other in the services that we provide. We talked about parents not traveling on weekends because your job, your business, whatever calls for you to stay home. Okay, well, I think internally we need to support each other's businesses. Okay, and after that event right there, we created on LinkedIn, like a tribe alumni network. Okay, and one of the major tasks I want to take on this year is I want to know what you guys do. Okay, because Bryce and I, we just renovated my old townhome. Okay, and we used some parents helped out and, you know, lended their services to what we were doing, and a light bulb went off. Like, that's all we should be doing. Okay, a tournament costs what a tournament costs, but the best way that we can make that easier on you is by, you know, utilizing whatever it is that you guys do professionally, right? Okay, so we're going to start indexing that and ask if you want that shared with everybody, and I think that's a great step that could really benefit and take off to something pretty special. So that sound good to everybody? And I think that is, there it is, my tribe directory project that I'll be up till like 3 in the morning every night working on. So that's all I have. Do we have any questions about all that stuff that was just covered? Smoke coming on people's ears right now. Yes, sir.
One of the questions is we have these programs, these sessions and stuff, we got ACEs and stuff, can outside kids like, you know, come into the program and also do some of those training programs and get like ACEs?
So for the play ball programming, yes, it's designed that way. The Indians programming, we'll say it's an internal debate. I think kind of long-term play, it'll probably happen at some point for the training programs at least. But right now it's not designed that way. So great question. Chalk one up, Doug. Other questions? So for aces and power hitters, they can. Nothing else? Over under on number of emails that are generated from this meeting. I'm gonna set it at 54 and a half. So over under on number of people that are gonna come up here and ask questions as soon as this is done. All right, well, if there aren't any public questions, you guys are free to leave. I appreciate your time on this Sunday night.
My non-public question?
Yes.
If my son's doing the TNT Tuesday, Thursday, 7:30 to 8:30 here, how
Okay.
how can he do that? He's incremental. I think if it's like 7:30, like what does he do if he's like here and he's doing a, you know what I mean? I mean, how does he do that?
It will be recorded.
So then he doesn't have to do it right at that moment.
Right.
That if he's here for the training.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
think it's just the one program that's at that time, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Okay. Because
So-
otherwise, I wanted to do it, but then he's doing a TNT here. So
Okay. Yeah, it'll be recorded. Yeah.
he still can sign up. And then
Yeah, still sign up and then just take a note of that if there's like a comment section or after you do it, just send one of the guys to an email and we'll make sure that he gets sent that every day.
And then my second question for the January, February, things you guys are doing in Texas, is that invite only or is that?
No, and it's open.
It's open for
Yep.
everybody. And bus for both schools?
No, those are my fly. We fly.
You're flying from Texas and then
It's Arizona, yeah. Yeah,
flying.
those be flights, yep. So we'll send out all that stuff.
Just want to say thank you, man. It was really great.
Yeah,
And really opened up a lot of, I guess, the concerns just kind of went away. So it was really good. Questions I had. So I really appreciate it.
And your son is?
Andrew.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's the first time for us. So
Yep.
really good job.
How you doing? In the registration between the Johannes table and the patient track, of course, we program.
Yep.
What's the difference between like the adding program here and are they completely different programs?
The framework's kind of the same. I think it's just more for the location. And some might have a few extra like tech products that is disposable.
So when I look at the like focus on arm conditioning, arm care, thing here, looked like they were different types of programs.
If we put them side by side, I'd have to ask those guys what their plans are because they have the whole thing written up. Like if we took two specific ones, they could choose.
A more general question. All these programs are together. You've got all the programs. You can register for all of them. Time-wise, how do you fit all these programs?
That's why we try to get the information as soon as we can. So as they're coming in right now, they're going through and slotting them in time. Yeah. So once it's all complete, there'll be an email that's sent out and it shows like a grid of everything.
So if I register for a bunch of stuff, they'll schedule it so I'm not overlapping the program.
Right. And if some does overlap, they'd let you know and suggest an alternative.
Okay. Okay. And I wasn't sure how that worked.
Right.
I'm going to register and then all of a sudden he's not going to be able to do all this.
Right. Yeah. So it's a big jigsaw puzzle.
And then the last piece was you did high school.
starting tomorrow. How does that fit?
If he's doing a strength program, I mean, he doesn't include another one. So
Okay, so I he didn't decide how to. He said that he's concerned that he doesn't participate in that night. Somehow,
if some high schools don't have anything in place, but if he has something in his high school that's set up and have the whole program.
meeting about it a couple weeks ago, and it starts like tomorrow morning.
So, I mean, some schools they have just varsity players, some do nothing, some include the freshmen. So we offer it, just in case they don't.
Okay. Yeah, he's been to
Yeah.
right now.
Right. Right.
Somebody started signing up for this program. All right. All right.
Very good. Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I just want to say thanks, buddy.
Yeah. I'll see you.
Nice seeing you.
Good seeing you too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him. You're good to be along for that.
He's in Colorado right now. Yeah, like tonight I gotta pick him up at like